that are going to ration health care. They're going to decide whether or not my 90-year-old grandmother gets the health care that she needs or not. And I think it's wrong to put a bureaucrat, somebody that is appointed into a position, and they're going to come between the doctor and the patient to decide whether or not you get care. I have a big problem with that. So.
Bobby, how you doing with your veterans voucher? And I know that was something we talked about 5 years ago in a parking lot. And the idea is to, rather than have me drive to Iowa City or Bettendorf, I can go to Kewanee or Geneseo with a voucher and get my routine care as a veteran. I can get my physical, I can get my blood work, and it helps two things. One, it helps my mileage, I don't have to drive, and two, then it helps these regional hospitals, especially in the rural area.
I think there's one.
I got a veteran who works for me, he has to go to Indiana.
We're doing really good on it. I'm having my first hearing next week where I get to go in and take questions and answers on it, which is a huge move. And then once we've got quite a few sponsors on it, we of course need more. But then once we get through the hearing, it's a really good deal because people can still use the VA, but then you can go to any hospital in the United States of America, which I think is pretty fair. But the hospital administrators that I've talked to across the board have said that's a really great idea. The thing that's nice is that it has a little bit of upfront cost by tying into the VAs and then some of the smaller places like the new clinic over in Bettendorf. It has some upfront costs there. But then after it gets going, after about 5 or 6 years, it actually starts to save money because then you're not doing gas mileage reimbursements. You know, it's just and my dad, you know, we'd bring him there. His last few months of his life, it was funny, but it wasn't, because we'd get all done with the chemo treatment. We'd come downstairs and we'd be bringing him out towards the car, and he goes, "Hey, hold on, I got to go get my gas reimbursement." And I was like, "Dad, you know, I'll give you the $10, man."
Parking lot reimbursement.
Yeah. So, yes, ma'am.
The reason I'm out here is because in my poli-sci class, obviously, we each got assigned a constitutional amendment to research, and I got assigned 17 amendment, and we're supposed to do like really controversial. And actually, Maryland is just ratifying it now, just for next month, so 100 years old. But I know some, especially in the Conservative Party, have talked about repealing the 17th Amendment. And I was wondering what your...
Are you talking about the IRS tab?
No.
Where's my, you got my little booklet? Do you have your Constitution on you? Will you grab my Constitution?
It's on my iPod.
Hey, it's in my, oh, you know what, I do too. My wife gave this to me for Christmas last year.
Everybody good?
Yeah, thank you.
Cookies.
Yeah,
Cookies.
man.
Come on, bring them up.
No, thanks.
I can't find a statement that you
Yeah,
said
that's
on
what I'm
it,
talking
and we're
about.
supposed to find out like
Oh, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators, 3 elected by the people. They're
yeah,
all
I think
for 6
it's like
years.
the direct election. Is what because they used to be before they had appointed by
Yeah, you know, I think that should, I believe that it should
Your dad speaking.
remain as an election rather than anointing. I'm against the anointing of politicians. Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, we've seen what happens when they anoint, and it's a huge problem. But yeah, so I would definitely like to see that stick with the elected rather than appointed. Good question, my goodness.
Mr. Schilling, I'd just like to add to the healthcare system, and I don't know where it would be directed towards the FDA or that type of stuff. I was a transplant patient at the University of Wisconsin 15 years ago, and I think there's too much emphasis put on, for example, organ donor awareness. I will give Jesse White credit. He's a big promoter of that here in the state of Illinois. However, Wisconsin is one of the leading universities in the United States and in the world in genetic research. And for organ donor awareness, that's a big plus, because unlike me, you would have to wait for a family member or a donor. What they're trying to do is, this gets back to what our current president is holding up with healthcare, is changing organs to transplant them so there wouldn't be a wait to put them with a proper donor, so to say. So I didn't know what your standings on that stuff might be, or issues. There's not been a lot of I feel there's not been a lot of emphasis put on that kind of stuff here in the past couple of years. I've not heard much.
I didn't get the question. What's
It's
the
like
hang
your
up?
Kip, like your situation. You were diabetic, like I was a juvenile diabetic for 15 years, and I had kidney failure as a result of that. That's what caused that in me. I received a dual transplant from the University of Wisconsin, which ended my diabetes. And that's not the cure for every diabetic, but for some it is. Just I was in that position. I was given that gift of organ donor awareness too, by the way. But what they're trying to do is alter organs genetically, and they need stem cells to do that stuff with. There's not a lot.
Oh, I see what
There's
you're
not
saying
been a
now.
lot of emphasis put on genetic research. I feel in the United States.
It gets rid of the compatibility problem.
Correct. You don't have to worry about. I take a lot of drugs. I take over $2,000 a month worth of rejection drugs and plus other things. You know, and that would do away with that too. But that's a good point. I mean, it's just healthcare stuff. I'm going to go. We have a township meeting here in about 10 minutes.
So when you talk about stem cell, you're talking about.
It kind of gets in the church and state area there with
Well,
this.
here's my position on that is that there's yet to be any fetal stem cell that works. And here's the thing is, if it were something that were going to work, it was good, you'd see people investing into it, and you don't. I mean, they put stuff in people's brains, they got teeth growing out of their head. I mean, so I think what we have to use is, like, for example, when my wife would have a baby, you know, they have access there.
Yes.
And that has a proven track record.
Absolutely right.
We've
That's
gotta
where I was
use-
going to go. Yep.
Yeah. So, but you know, you think that having to wait, you know, for a transplant is bad now?
No, and that's worse now than it was when I was a transplant. I know it is.
But I mean, as bad as it is now compared to when you
Yeah.
wait till Affordable Health Care Act.
Yes,
kicks
that's
in.
where I was going with this.
Because
Yep.
people will die.
Yep. Wait for that.
You know, waiting.
Yep. That's right.
It's a guaranteed fact.
Yep.
If you look at a lot of the people, I talked to a guy that has family, friends that live outside of the country, and they say, you can go see a doctor anytime you want, but to get the work done, you can't. You know, so it's one thing to see somebody versus, you know, getting something fixed. The big thing that we know is that, you know, some of the ideas that the other side has are some decent ideas. I mean, they really are. So what you've got to do is instead of just beating everything up, pull out the stuff that you know for a fact is bad and has nothing. Remember why we went in and did healthcare reform? Is because of the cost.
Then the cost curve.
This thing, the president promised us $900 billion. The most recent study shows $1.8 trillion is going to be the cost. Has nothing to do with reform. This bill, I truly believe, was more about control of the American people. Because if you can get into every facet of each and every American's lives, you know, the country has changed forever.
I know going off of the organ donation, I know that death row prisoners, that doesn't change their position on the organ donor life. Do you think that's something that could be addressed? I mean, I know people who've gotten caught in 12 days later,
So somebody on death row.
it doesn't change their position on the list, like the donor list.
At least should allow them to give organs.
Well, I'm not
Okay,
saying
currently
it's
death row inmates can't.
Depending on what
Give
state, I don't know,
not
Kip,
giving
what
them, but
state
I'm
would
getting
have.
them. They can get them even though they're
They're
Eligible.
receiving.
Eligible.
Yeah, and it doesn't change their position. And so,
So you're saying it's kind of a waste of.
Well, yeah.
Save life. You know, it's just like me.
Well, yeah, they're gonna kill them anyway.
That lady I received my organs from saved 6 people's lives that night. And that's just, I mean, that person could save 12 people's just well 6, depending on what part they use for the harvest of the organs. So, you know, and that's a great thing. If you're in that position, you need that stuff. You know, and there's just not been a lot of emphasis put on that stuff, I think. You know, I like to see more of that. And as far as our government goes. So, you know, please don't forget that.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you. You know, that's,
You got any control over the media? We brought up the media, the drive-by media, as far as what I'm really getting upset with the media as far as their reporting with our rural agricultural news. And lately it was the red meat. You had the corn fructose syrup thing. Now I got Popcat fructose free on it.
Yep, I'll get it for you right now. I'll be right back.
Corn syrup, right?
Right.
Of course, we had past issues with the mad cow and Adler on the apples, and every time the media and everything comes out with a little, you know, a lot of it's false, little hints of truth. Markets go down, consumptions go down,